Two very different halves of the match. First one, I think too much mobility in the pitch, it's also not very good. And I think that we had a lot of players out of position because of too much mobility. And that took us to a very discomfortable place in order to play football. Some uncertainty, not finding the connections, not finding the players in the places where usually we find them. Spaces that were free that were also not occupied, so not the proper relations between the players in the pitch in order to play the game that we train and that usually we play. And we suffered. We didn't suffer in terms of chances of the opponent, or not that exactly, but we suffered in terms of being comfortable to play the game that we want to play and to aggress the opponent in the way we should aggress, and to obviously try to make the result earlier in the match and not let it go for the second half. Obviously that we made some corrections. We tried to bring also players in that could give some other things. We tried to understand also, I don't know if it's clear from the outside, but the pitch is absolutely horrible to play football, so very slippery, difficult to handle the players in the feet, so also that didn't help. So we needed to change some things in the second half, create stability, mental stability, take us off that discomfort place that we were, moving forward with confidence, but settling the team in terms of positioning the pitch. And I think we did it. We started to play according to what the dynamics that usually we have, and we could find ourselves. So from from there, we scored, and I think we should have scored earlier, second goal, so that we could get the stability to cope with the long balls from the AmaZulu team that started to put numbers in the front and just kick in the back of our defenders, what is not easy to deal with. So we had also to deal with that aggression, and the game broke a little bit, and out of there were chances for one side, for the other, but I think it's completely fair. We finished making a quite interesting second half, where we found ourselves and us as a point of reference to move forward.
The coach will take questions from the floor.
Coach, can you just explain a bit more what you mean by the mobility all over the place in the first half? The players out of position or not sticking to instructions, or what did you mean?
No, has nothing to do with the instructions. Is that the fact that the players, example, the players approach too much on the ball, or other players too much on one side, and the ball always on the same side, not changing to the opposite side. So then the player approaches even more, players coming out, because also the way the block in the middle was so narrow, also players drifting out, so coming out to play. So then we lose the references in between lines, we lose references in the aggression in the back, and positional play. So it's important there's a distribution of the players on the pitch from where the dynamics are built. And in some moments I was looking and said, where are the players? And they were out of position. It's nothing with not wanting to do what we train or what we do. Is just the intention to understanding what's happening in the pitch and saying, okay, it's narrow here, the lines are very close, let me try to do other things that may help the team, and sometimes they don't help. We know what we have to do when the spaces are narrow, we know what we have to do when the team is closing well one side, we know what to do when the block is low and when the block is high. We just need to relate with those behaviors. But sometimes the intention to do, and the fact that you try once, you try twice, you try third time, and you don't do it, can create some instability. And I felt there was some instability. I even used the word at halftime, please, I feel despair inside the pitch when you are still 20 minutes to play in the first half. And there were moments that I felt despair. And that comes from the intention of doing and feeling that something is not going well. But it was important then to explain them what was happening, that we were watching the game that we expected to find, because AmaZulu was loyal to their game style, to their positioning, to the way they play. I think we pressed them very well on their intention to play from the goalkeeper, but then we had difficulties when they were in low block to find the spaces to enter. That's why we brought Aubrey and Aubrey and Tashrik in, that could understand a little bit better that dynamic, but at the same time, the most important thing was to tell the team, look, this is what's happening. We show them images. We need to do that. That's exactly how we prepared the match, because what was happening in the pitch was what we expected. There was nothing new. So, and the players then understood how to take the ball to those spaces. You occupy those spaces. Sometimes players holding their position in order to also attract players of the opponent to create the spaces that we wanted to play. And I think then the game, there was fluidity after that. There was fluidity. Before, no, there was not fluidity. It's like there was some sand on the roller that didn't allow the things to go as we planned and we wanted, and usually we do.
Coach Tsapang from Sokaladuma, I want to ask you about Zuko playing at right back. Obviously, he's coming to a position where 𝐭𝐻𝐬𝐬 was doing very well. Is he giving you what you want as a right back? I see many times maybe turn back and pass the ball back when there's an opportunity to cross. And I also wanted to ask about Mothiba. Is it a case of competition or is he injured at the moment?
Thank you. One by one. So Zuko is not where we want, but is on the way. I remember last year he played 5 matches in a row and then he got injured on the 5th, and he was always getting better and better and better and better. It's normal a player that don't play for so long, that he also gets the confidence, the moment, understand the things, so understand a little bit, feel the things. And as best as the team is settled on the pitch, the better he will be helped, or the most he will be helped. So I think that the first half didn't help him, but also in the second half we saw him more comfortable, and that's what we need. We also saw him much better in the first game with 𝐩𝐫𝐞𝐬 home, because the team was also much better. So it's important when you bring young players or new players in the team that the team is strong, so that those players feel more comfortable to play. We trust on him. Obviously that he's not 𝐭𝐻𝐬𝐬𝐬, he's not Apelo Morena, he's has another name, other characteristics, he's other player, but also a very interesting player that will grow for sure if he continues to play. Regarding Mothiba is almost ready, not yet, but starting to train absolutely normal with the team. So we expect him in 1 week and a half that he may join the team and even be able to play. Then it's up to us to manage the game time progressively so that he can make his return to competition in the right way. Last step. Because you know that when we speak about recovery, there's the moment where he needs to recover the injury, then he needs back to training, so back to performance, but then he needs to really be able to perform in the pitch. And that's a moment we're going to put him to play when we feel that he can really help the team. But he's almost there. Pretty soon he'll be back. What is for us, of course, a motive of joy, because he's a player that can help the team and that is struggles for a long time. So.
Coach, just 2 quick ones from me. One player in your team that has been, I think, has played many games, especially from the Club World Cup in your forward line, Arthur Salas. What would you say you expect or want from him? Because I mean, today, I think he could have scored maybe 2 or 3 goals, but it just couldn't go in. What would you say you expect from him, or you think he can give you when you look at maybe his attributes? And also a second one, I mean, you've got a big one coming up at the weekend, and it looks like, I mean, playing against Pirates will always be an event on its own, but do you feel your team is forced to develop quicker so early in the season for such a big game with, the stakes this high in a semi-final?
Look, first of all, it's important that we understand one thing, and I understood since last year that there's a lot of misunderstanding towards Arthur Salas and people charging too much on him. Artur is a player that, first of all, people should look at him and don't imagine now that because he plays on the right that he will see Lucas Ribeiro, because there's no one ever that will be Lucas Ribeiro on the pitch. And the coach doesn't look for a player for the right that will be Lucas Ribeiro, because it doesn't exist. Lucas is Lucas, Artur is Artur. If plays there, 𝐭𝐻𝐬 on the right, or it's another player. So each player has its own characteristics. Artur is a very good player. Very good player that arrived in South Africa, and he was not given the attention and the credit that he deserves. I think now gradually people are starting to understand, and if you look his numbers and if you think together with me how he impacted the team last year when he entered in the pitch, always giving goals, always giving assists, I think Artur was already important last year. I think you remember the way I celebrated with him. Of course, it was the championship goal, but the second or third goal we scored in Chippa, that I went running to him because he deserved that hug on that moment, because he was not really pushed the way he deserves. I think he is a little bit underrated considering what he really is capable to do. And today we saw a fantastic second half from him. And if he would be a little bit more jealous, maybe he had scored more than one goal. I remember one he gave to Peter because he wanted Peter to score that goal. And he gave him easy a ball that he could just put it on the net. Artur scores goals very easy, very easy. He will score goals throughout the season, like Peter, like 𝐂𝐴𝐸, because he's a player that has a good relation with the goal. And he also can make assists. He's very clever. I think if you look well, the goal that we scored, it's a beautiful play where also he interferes. So he'll become better and better as much as he understands and adapts to the South African football. What sometimes I never forget when I was in Ukraine. And in Shakhtar Donetsk, there's a tradition to have Brazilian players. And when Miguel 𝐂𝐻𝐬𝐬𝐿 was the coach, even quality players coming from Brazil and costing many millions, he used to say 2 years for him to adapt. And he was taking the pressure out of the player. But here it seems that we want a spontaneous generation. We bring a player, next day he must be the best in the pitch. It's not like that. So he also needs us to let him grow like the others. And I think that he's doing that process. He's already steps ahead, and for sure he'll continue to do good things.
Second one was about the team developing too early.
Look, this Sundowns will develop throughout the season, I have no doubts, for sure. It has to. It's important that you understand that when you take out a player like Lucas Ribeiro from a team like this, when you take out a Mudau from a team like this, and you don't have also Tapelo to close that gap, when you have the team bringing up players like Mabena and 𝐭𝐻𝐬 that are not still on the level to support a team like Mamelodi Sundowns, it's obviously that the team will suffer. You go in Sporting in Portugal, you took out 𝐩𝐫𝐞𝐬𝐬 that went to Arsenal and they are struggling. You come in, you take out Mofokeng from Pirates and you will see how they will struggle. Because there are players that are key in the way the teams relate and create dynamics, and the numbers of Lucas speak for him. So it's up to us now to try to find the solutions collectively so that we can obviously overcome what he used to do in the pitch. But we emotionally are not attached to that. We are working, we are developing inside the club. We are looking obviously to bring players that can reinforce the team, of course. We feel that we need, and we're going to do it. But we need to arrive on that point in the right way. We need to make the right choices. We cannot rush so that we make mistakes, because we don't want to bring many players. We just want to bring the ones we need. And that's the process that we are doing. That's the process we are doing. So expectations that as soon as everything finishes, the market finishes, we understand what is the squad that we're gonna have for the entire season, that the process of development of the team will happen. And for sure, in the moment, I don't believe there's one single team in the PSL or in the Betway Premiership that is on the level that we'll achieve in 3 months. Not even one. The question is that we need to make results until the moment where we are where we want to be, of course. So winning matches will allow us first to pick the confidence, and second to let the team grow over victories, what is much more easy to bring the team up. As you said, the matches with Pirates are always a different story. There's no favorites. There's 2 teams that are gonna have both 50% of favoritism on the 2 matches. let's see. But still, we have another match to play before that one, so let's see.
Coach, were you surprised at the weekend after the draw? There was a level of discontentment from Sundowns fans about that performance and the result in itself. Were you really surprised at how the Sundowns fans reacted to that match?
Also, I was disappointed. We are in a club that wants to win all matches. So being disappointed with the result, the draw, it's normal. If you enter our locker room after the draw, you see how people is there. It looks like someone died. So it's normal and acceptable that people are not happy. Being not happy with the result is one thing. Being not happy with the people that work very hard every day to produce good results is another thing. But that I didn't felt that happen. But being disappointed because we draw a match, obviously we were also very disappointed. Ask Chippa how was the locker room, especially in a match that the opponent kicked on the goal and there was a deflection and that made the result. That we were very, very unhappy because we draw a match like that we deserve to win. But as I said on the press conference when was launched the competition, if we don't take serious in the limit every match, you can suffer disappointments. And today we had to score the second goal much before the moment we did, because AmaZulu also had a couple of chances where they could have scored. And then a match that you can win, you can end by drawing it, and that's not what you want to do. So today, we also, believe me, despite 2-0, we were not happy in the locker room. There were players complaining on each other in a positive way, like, finish the game, let's finish the game, so that we get the comfort to move forward. It's normal. It's fantastic to have that ambience when you're not happy.
Can we take the last two questions? Lorenz. Okay, Lorenz. We'll do the last one. Lorenz, go ahead, please.
From it, times. You speak a lot about mentality and how the players think and their mindset and stuff like that. So how important was it to just get that first league victory today after the draw? And then secondly, you made, I think, 5 changes to the starting 11. Was the thinking more of just freshening up the team for this specific game or looking ahead?
Look, you know that our preseason was 2 weeks, so there's no preseason. Just didn't do preseason. The other day I was listening someone commenting ourselves, saying, now the coach made a preseason, and I was laughing because there was no preseason. We just joined and started playing. But we had to do that. So we know that the players are still growing. They are growing on their condition, they are growing on everything, and it's important also to manage that. But if we go to the first match and we compare the first match that happened 1 week ago, or not much more than 1 week ago, with Richards Bay, and, well, 2 weeks ago, because then we had a full week, and we look at this one, the changes are not 5 players. What it means is that in the match that we play in the middle, we understood that we had to change players, so that we would arrive on this one with the players in good condition. And that's how we're going to do. We're going to manage players for sure almost every match, or until we feel they are in condition to play in 3 days. Look, we played 72 hours ago, and we had to travel. So the time to recover is not big, and when you are in the beginning of the season, it takes longer to pick that recovery fully. So we are just trying to respect the condition of the players, and believe me that I wanted to change more. But we cannot change, of course, all the players, so that we don't lose ourselves inside the pitch. And I think that eventually a little bit of that first half, not so fluid, using the same expression, also eventually came from some of the changes we introduced in the team. And especially regarding the young players, I think that is important that everybody understands that we will have to be very careful in the way we put the young players to play. Because exposing them to a level of game where they are not ready to is the worst thing we can do. And I will try to protect them as much as possible until the moment that we feel they are capable to take the weight on the back, because otherwise it can be very negative for them.
Coach Cardoso from AmaZulu. Coach, beginning of every season with like Sundowns, there's always also talk of a lot of things that are going on like within the camp. Would you say that where you are now, that the team's mentality and mindset is like stable to focus at the job at hand and not fully listening or understanding what's going on with like fellow players, like and all that?
It's not easy to deal with what happened or what's happened in the team and not worry about that or not be concerned about that or not believe that there is not impact in the team, because there is always. We would be absolutely naive to think that things can happen and the players don't relate with those things, because they do. They are friends. They are inside the locker room. They share. For sure they speak. So it's impossible. But it's possible to keep a strong mentality and a strong will to win every match despite those things happening. Because that's the values that we want to grow inside and that we have inside the locker room, that don't allow the direction of the team and the club go this way because of events that might happen. Look, market is always very tough. And after a Club World Cup where the team performed in the level that performed, there is always instability of proposals that arrive that can touch the players. And it's like that. It's obviously like that. But the club is very professional, has a very clear idea of how to relate with these things. And the maturity that we find inside the club will allow also the players inside the locker room to understand that the things are being held in the right way. It will take time, or it's taking some time, yes, because it's not from one day to the other that you solve some of those issues. You need time to solve them. But in proper time, they will be solved. Until then, as I said, it's important that we win as much as possible. So that meanwhile, with the players that will come back or the players that also will reinforce the team, we take the team far away, or in terms of development, to another step, of course.
We'll take the last question.
Coach, you spoke a little bit about Ribeiro in the past tense. I mean, you almost indicating to us that he's on his way, and then you also speak a little bit about a process, I presume players coming in and players going out. How long, my question is, how long is this, when do you expect it to be finished? When do you expect all of this stuff to be done?
Of course, that I would like it to be done as quick as possible. I would like even that it could have been handled before the season started, but it's not like that, because things happened after. So we are just dealing with the situation in the best way. As I said, the club is very, very, very professional and also very capable to solve the issues that we have in hands. The club is not on sales, and we know very well where we want to go. So I just need to keep the work with the team. I will always give my best with whoever players I have, and the players that are inside the locker room will always fight for the shirt and the badge they have on the chest. That's what we're going to do, and I believe that that's the correct way to handle. Of course, that in a club like Sundowns, that exposed the players in the highest level of the international football in the Club World Cup and did well, it's normal that appear things. It's normal. But we cannot also allow those things to happen in the way that they should not. We, as I said, are not on sales, so that people can not respect the value of what we have inside, because we have value, of course.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, colleagues. Drive safe.